Again, good afternoon. We want to welcome everyone. We also welcome all our online friends subscribing or tuning with us this afternoon. Thank you. Welcome. Please sit back in the comfort of your rooms. It's Saturday in your Sunday night or today Monday morning in your area. But we welcome you. We welcome everyone in the auditorium this afternoon. God is a good God. We welcome you. Jeffrey, we welcome Bunch and Nate and Pam. We welcome you all. So, this is Pastor Eddie Centeno. I'm welcoming you to our service this afternoon. Recall? Somebody asked me, how do you like the weather? I said, I like it. I can live with it for a few more months. But you know, it's Florida. It will be cold for 2-3 days and then back to 70s and 80s again. So, amen. So good to be in the house of the Lord. So I'll be sharing with you this afternoon three big things in the Christian life. And Jesus Christ taught this many times in his teachings while he was here on earth. It's about forgiveness. The Bible tells us that this is major, the attitude of our heart. As we are forgiven, we should also forgive, regardless of the things, the hurt, the pain, the abuse that was done against us. We should learn how to forgive. Something that we learn. It's a process. That's why here we're going to study on how we can really forgive, and God's helping us to do so. Then faith. But without faith, it is impossible to please God. Almost everything that we do and we not do in the Christian life, it takes faith. It takes faith. And then there is that duty, service. We are called to serve God. Okay, that's why we want to go to these small groups, and eventually everybody can have a part in serving God. Pastoring and what Francis does and some of our friends here do is just a part of service. But all of us are called to serve in the ability that God has given us. Not all are called to preach, not all are called to sing, but we are called to something else that God has enabled us to do. And turn your Bible, if you have your Bible, sometimes we get so, the American church are so nice to us. They gave us 14 more benches. And underneath the benches are hymnal books and also hard copy of the Bible. So if you didn't bring your Bibles, and you want to read them, you want to follow, although I've been spoiling you guys. I've been doing slides and presentation for the text that we are using in our service. But here is where we find Jesus Christ in short 10 verses. Jesus Christ mentioned something about faith, something about offenses, and something about forgiveness and how we do that, and also servanthood or serving God. Serving God. I will read, and if you can follow me as I read here on the slides, verse 1 to 10, and then I will go back to some of the verses. Then Jesus said to his disciples, if you go to chapter 14 and 16 of the book of Luke, most of the time Jesus Christ was talking and teaching and discussing and answering questions from the religious people. Okay, when I said religious people, these are the Pharisees and the Sadducees, and these are the sect, the Jewish sect at the time. The Pharisees, these are the word Pharisees means separated, because they many times Jesus Christ had to correct them and rebuke them because they have a different interpretation of what God has given to Moses in the Old Testament, the Ten Commandments and many other laws that God has given the nation of Israel. So after talking about them, then very close to this is the parable in 16, the parable of the rich man and Lazarus. I don't know if you've heard it, you read it. Both of them died. They went. One went to hell, the other went to heaven. And Jesus Christ is teaching about the reality of eternity. And it concerns all of us. This is not just our life. Just kind of sad. This week, me and my wife is back and forth going to the hospice because we have a friend who was transferred from the nursing home. He was there for 2 years. And then he's not going anywhere. He's so weak and dying. So they transferred him to hospice. And then I've seen it so many times. The same hospice where they brought my brother, one of my brothers who died. And so it's kind of what they call this? It's an eerie feeling. And I've seen it, and it's kind of sad that. But that's the reality of life. We're all going to go through that. It's just a matter of time. And a lot of people, sometimes they don't want to talk about it, but we can escape. Whether we talk or not, it is coming. And the thing is, death, it has no preference. It does not discriminate. Whether you are young, you're very young, you're old, or you're in the highlight or the peak of your good life, we're not exempted. We're not going to go through that. So, and that's why it's draining. My wife told me after we on our way to the elevator that it's very draining. You're talking to the wife of the guy who was dying, just talking and just trying to comfort, give them comfort. Sometimes it's strain you out because you can feel what she's feeling and she's feeling and things like that. So this is where Jesus Christ is coming. He just talked about death, 2 deaths: the death of Lazarus, the poor, the beggar, and then the death of the rich man. So, and then he said, then he turned to his disciples. He was talking mostly to a large group of people, but on this particular segment, on this particular subject, Jesus Christ turned to his disciples, and then he said to the disciples, "It is impossible that no offenses should come, but woe." Now, the word woe is a strong word. In Tagalog, sabi nila, aba kayo. You're in trouble. Yun ang sabihin ng woe. W-O-E. Ikapangpangan, woe. That's a different spelling. It means yes. Si Nanay, she was talking. Some of even in Imelda, when they say, whoa. In Ilocano, it's when. In Tagalog, kailan. No. Okay, it is impossible that no offenses should come, but woe to him through whom they do come. Okay? Offenses, this is the things that make people sin. These are what make people to stumble. You trip them, you trap them. That's the word offenses, and I will show you an illustration to better understand that word that Jesus Christ used and also used in many parts of the New Testament and also in the Old Testament for the word offense. Ano po? Yung nakakasakit damdamin. Something, it offends you, it hurts you, and gives you a lot of misery depending on what was done or what was said. So no offenses should come, but woe to him through whom they do come. It would look at the severity. Look at what Jesus Christ said in verse 2. Okay? Because 2 things happen. It's either you are the one offending other people or you are the one being offended. It's either na ikaw yung nananakit, sasalita ng masakit, o ikaw ang sasabihan na nasasaktan. Okay, so that's why look at what Jesus Christ says. It will come. It's inevitable. It will happen. It will come in so many places. And sometimes it comes to us in places that we don't expect. Even in church. We are not perfect here. I know even I myself. There are times that I tried my best to be gentle. I tried my best to pick up the right word and put them in sentences so that I'm sure I'm not going to be so, I cannot offend others. I will not appear to be very bossy and things like that. But then again, regardless of how you say it, what you say it, there are people who take things personally, and there are people who are very sensitive. We cannot be overly sensitive in life because we're going to be miserable. And sometimes, I'm just talking about offenses, and I will go some more. We cannot avoid it. It's going to come. Sometimes we get offended by just things that are very innocent. Okay, like when we are eating. See, some people, that's how they are. They behave when they're eating. When they put food in their plate, you think that their plate is the serving plate. So they don't care much if you're lining up under the person. They don't care much. It's not because that's how they are. They're not learning yet. I can say etiquette. Etiquette. No? If you have a dozen egg roll there and you got 14 people at the back, you don't take 6 of it. That's my favorite. That's people that offended. Even in pastors, I cannot come to everyone in church to shake their hands and to say hello. But there are some people that are very sensitive to that. The pastor came to the person beside me and say hi and hello, ask the name. But then even look at me. I'm not going to go back to their church anymore. You see, because what? They're taking it personally. So offenses will come. Jesus Christ says it will come. But then, it says in verse 2, it will be better for him, the one that when the offense comes. Or it is better for that person that if you're a millstone, where hung around the same millstone is that big rock. It's like a hollow rock that is put in your neck and then you are thrown into the sea. That's what it says. It is better if the person who keep on offending other people is the cause of offense. It would be better for that person if a millstone were hung around his or her neck and he were thrown into the sea. See, that's a terrible way to die. See, you are alive and you're going to drown, you cannot escape, and you are being thrown like that. It says, then he should offend one of these little ones. He's talking about my children, my disciples, my followers. And then, verse 3, take heed to yourselves. Sa Tagalog, mag-ingat kayo. Take heed to yourselves. If your brother, see now, this is not a relationship. If your brother sins against you, rebuke him or rebuke her. Sawayin mo. I will explain that again. And if he repents, kung nagsisi siya, nagsorry siya, if he repents, forgive him. And if he sins against you 7 times in a day, can you imagine that? That's a lot of abuse. 7 times in a day, sometimes one is already terrible. And 7. In the Bible, especially Jesus Christ, he told to Peter this. Peter asked him, Lord, how many times will I need to forgive my brother who sinned against me? 7 times, Lord? Peter answered this own question because in the Jewish culture, 6 is a best number. Okay? I would just say, if Imelda sinned against me 6 times, and I forgive her 6 times, to me that I'm above. For me to have that a heart to forgive her 6 times, I'm above a lot of other people. But to go one more number, 7, like what Peter said, that is above the average people. So he's trying to impress the Lord. Lord, 7 times? So that means that I'm above all other else. But Jesus Christ told him, no, I tell you the truth. Not 7, but 70 times 7. So if you know your math, that's equals what? 490. So does that mean that 491 I'm going to bang his head? 491, 490, that's the math. I've already reached it. No. 70 times 7, what Jesus Christ is saying is not the number. You have to forgive unlimitedly. There's no limit to forgiveness. Hello? Amen. And that's how it is. And it's a terrible thing not to forgive. And I will go to that. So that's why he says, if we sin against you 7 times in a day, and 7 times in a day returns to you saying, I repent, please forgive me. Going back, verse 5. And the apostle said to the Lord, increase our faith. It really takes faith to forgive other people, to forgive the offense, to forgive what they abuse, to forgive. It can be verbal, it can be physical, it can be anything that other people have hurt our feelings. Okay, so the Lord said, Jesus Christ said to their request, increase our faith. So the Lord said, if you have faith as a mustard seed, mustard seed is about the size of a tomato seed. It's not big. I will show you a picture. So it doesn't take really much faith to no, but your faith should be what? Should be applied to where it is needed. So if you have faith as a mustard seed, you can say to this mulberry tree is like acacia. Parang acacia po yun, it's a big tree. You can say to this mulberry tree, be pulled up by the roots and be planted in the sea, it would obey you. See, it doesn't take much faith. But the true faith said he is able to uproot a huge tree. And then 7, when a servant comes, now he's talking now, verse 7 is talking now a different subject about serving. Okay, that's why he says, when a servant comes in from plowing or taking care of sheep, does his master say, come in and eat with me? Okay? No, he says, Jesus Christ says, no, he says, prepare my meal, put on your apron and serve me while I eat. Then you can eat later. See, that's the slave. So when he comes, after working so hard in the field, when he comes, he does not just lay down, take care of himself, relax first before serving the master. No. See, when he comes and the master needs to eat, he has to work again. And that's what Jesus Christ is saying. Okay? He does not ask him, come, you're so tired. I know you worked so hard in the heat of the sun. Come now and join me in my meal. No, he says, look at the verse 8. No, he says, prepare my meal, put your apron, and serve me while I eat. Then you can eat later. And does the master take the servant for doing what he was told to do? Of course not. Okay? Of course not. Verse 10. So likewise you, when you have done all those things which you are commanded, say, we are unprofitable servants. Kami mga alipin lang. Okay? We have done what was our duty to do. So I'm going to go back to all of those, but then going back to that offense. Yung pong salitang offense, the Greek word was skandalon. What it means is to put a stumbling block, or it is a trap. Actually, that word offense is this word here. You know this? This is a rat trap. Ano po nakita niyo yung daga? And the rat is has one of its legs. That is what you call the scandalon. That's what you call offense. Okay? If you have the cheese, and you have this thing here that holds the cheese, this snap bar is the one holding this bar here, which is spring-loaded. So once this poor fellow here touches that, you know what will happen, right? It will release this. And when it is released, and he's this enjoying the cheese, once this strip, this is very sensitive, once it is moved, this will boom, and he will be caught in the trap, and he will what? He will be dead. So the word is, that's the word that was used for offense. It means that what? It becomes a trap. No, and when you are trapped, not much you can do. It's either you're going to die there, or you're going to be miserable. Like, you see the idea? So that's why the word of offense is just like that. It will set you like a trap. And many times, when we allow offense in our lives, it is not the offender whose life is becoming miserable, but us. And that's it. It is a trap, and most of the time we are trapped because we cannot let go the things or the people that offended us. Look at what it says. And these are just some of the things that offends us. False counsel. Yung pong maling payo. Look at this in 16:23 of Matthew. But Jesus turned and said to Peter, and this is Peter, he asked them, who do people say that I am? The Son of Man. And Peter's what? Peter said, you are the Christ, the Son of the living God. What a great revelation. But then Jesus Christ told them, I, your Lord and your Savior, will go to Jerusalem, and they're going to crucify me, they're going to kill me. And that's when Peter speaks again and says, this is what he said, but he turned and said to Peter, because Peter told, no, Lord, you're not going to go to Jerusalem tonight. And then look at what Jesus Christ says, get behind me, Satan. Imagine that. It was Peter and Jesus Christ who said, get me behind me, Satan. You are an offense to me. For you are not mindful of the things of God, but the things of men. What Jesus Christ is saying, there will be people who will be giving you counsel that is offensive to your faith, offensive to what you have learned from God. And this is the devil influencing Peter by saying the things that he said in the previous verses of Matthew 16. And then another thing that offends is found in Romans 14:13. So let us stop condemning each other. Do not judge other people. Decide instead to live in such a way that you will not cause another believer to stumble and fall. Okay? Offenses will come, but be very careful that is not you being the origin of something that is offensive. That's why we should be very careful many times in the way we talk to people, even the way we text, even the way we respond to those Facebook. Okay, like in a Facebook group, we have a Facebook group, and most of them are watching us because they are part of our Facebook group. If we have some issues with some people, a part of that group, you don't write up, correct them, and tell them that they're wrong. What they said is wrong. In the context of the group, okay, you have to tell them first privately. Says, I don't like what you said. I think what you said is very offensive. I think what you said is out of the line. It's out of boundary. It's hurting other people. It's confusing other people. So that's why here Paul is saying, decide instead to live in such a way that you will not cause another believer to stumble and fall. So be very careful in how we react when we hear things, when we read things, when we see things that does not agree with our standards, yung pagkatao natin. Pero talaga mga tao, mabibilis magsalita, hindi nag-iisip. Salita ka. Kaya nga God has what? God has created us only with one mouth and 2 ears. Can you imagine if we had 2 mouths and 1 ear? Ang pangit mong tignan. Ngumiti ka, pati mo kong ngumiti kasi dalawang mukha ka mo eh. Just one. That means you process it here first. Process what you hear. And then whatever comment of opinion that you got, be careful to speed it up. Because the thing is, once the word comes out of your mouth, it's hard to retrieve. You cannot take it back. Ang pangit mo eh. Ang taba-taba mo. Hindi mo yung tigawat sa ilong mo nagkalat eh. You see, sometimes we say some things that to us is just words. But to other people, it's like at work. When you are accused, when at work you are guilty of harassment. It depends on the person who talk. The verbal things that you said or your gesture. So be very careful. Okay? And then in 16, 17, look at this. Now I urge you, it means this is important, brothers and sisters. Not those who can cause divisions and offense. Alamin niyo, kung sino yung talagang madumi ang dila, talagang nag-focus ng division, ng gossip. Sabi niyo, who cause division and offenses contrary to the doctrine which you learn, and avoid them. So what Paul is saying, if we have somebody, you already know that Jesus Christ is the only Savior. And then they will come to you and they will say, my uncle told me that there is another one who can save. Okay? And then they told me that if you come to our church and be a member of our church, that will be your salvation. So those are not true. Church membership will not save us. And there is no other way to heaven except Jesus Christ. And if some people will teach you other things that this Bible says, they said avoid them because it will offend you. I've seen this. A lot of times. In fact, I have few friends in the Philippines. They were already pastors, and they believe something that is so wrong until they turn their back from God. So Paul said, you watch them. If they are not teaching what is right, if they are not teaching anything that's from this book, then you have to avoid them. Stop arguing with them, explaining with them, and even inviting them to your house.
I believe it.
Alam mo naman, I'm not very good. No, you already know. How will you know something is false? You have to know what is true.
Amen.
How will you know the money is counterfeit? You have to know what is genuine. Yeah, this is our litmus paper in knowing what is the truth. So there's a lot of things that offend. And then people, and the other look at this. That's why it's so terrible to offend. Look at what Solomon said in Proverbs. An offended friend, yung nasaktan, an offended friend is harder to win back than a fortified city. It means a fortified city is like Fort Santiago or St. Augustine. During the time of the Civil War, those are fortified, those are fortresses. It's so hard for them to occupy and to even invade that because they are fortified. Matibay yung kanilang mga pader, and they are well protected. So sabi ng Proverbs, an offended friend, kaya napakahirap. It's so hard. So sometimes, once you offend other people, it's hard to take back. Nasabi mo na nagbibiro lang ako. I'm just kidding when I say na pangit ka. It can be true, ba't ka sabihin? Nakikita na po nila sa salamin yun An offended friend is harder to win back from a fortified city. Arguments separate friends like a gate locked with bars. So that when offenses create fences. Have you had friends that doesn't want to talk to you anymore, doesn't want to reply to your text, to your messages because one time you offended them? And it's so hard to win. It's so hard to win back, so that's why we have to be very careful. And what happens when a person is offended? They build a wall. I don't want to talk to you anymore. I have nothing to do with you anymore. You can hurt me only one time. But you cannot help them until the time that they want. Every time they see you, every time they hear from you, they create breaks upon breaks and upon breaks. The thicker wall and a higher wall. So that they what? They trap themselves inside. I don't want to communicate anymore because I don't want to get hurt again. And that's what happened to people who got offended. Okay? Now, look at what Paul said in Ephesians 4:2. And this is one of the antidote for offense. Always be humble and gentle. There's gentleness. Be patient with each other. Some people, we are what we call it. We are raised in different families, in different ways by our parents, and even in the Philippines. You cannot. There are some what we call this. Like the Ilocanos, some of you are from Baguio and you speak Ilocano, some of you are from Kapampangan, some of you are Tagalog. So there are things that you do where you grew up that are just normal to you. But when you go to Pangasinan or when you go to other provinces, it may be offending to them. Like this. I did not start when I was younger. I don't drink coffee. I don't drink coffee. I like soft drinks. I like soda. I don't drink coffee. But then, when we went to Pangasinan, that's where I met my wife, si Bibinya. Galadya, nakalmila. So, the people in Pangasinan are very sensitive people. They're very sensitive people. Especially if they invited you to their house. Whatever they offer to you, if you refuse, it hurts their feelings. So what you're gonna do? They offered me coffee. I don't normally drink coffee, but I was told beforehand that whatever they offer to you, take it. You will not die. You will not die if you drink coffee. Will you really die if you drink coffee? No, I don't think you will die unless it's not that. Pastor, that's poisonous. No, I don't drink. But then I found out that they're very sensitive, and these are poor people. For them to offer you a cup of coffee, to them that's something that they have a plenty of supply. To them, that's a precious commodity. What they bought that night, they will still drink that the next day, and what is left over, they will still drink that. So for them to offer you a half-brew coffee, to them, they're treating you as special, and for you to reject that, you are telling them, you are giving me something I don't like to get into your face. Okay? Now, if I will do that to the people in Batangas, they don't care much, because it's not offensive to them. If I tell them, I don't drink coffee. You know what I'm saying? So there will be people that it's all right for them if you tap them on their shoulder while you're talking to them. They're not offended by that. Even some people, when they talk, they pull your hands. Pastor Ed, how are you now? No? Until that, your shoulder will be cut off. So, but then, talking to them. They're not so comfortable if you're touching them. So what I'm saying is what? Consider others better than yourself. If this person, that is not so comfortable, you're touching them, then don't touch them. Like what Paul said. If let's say, if Mike, if we are eating together and I know Mike is a vegan. You know what a vegan is? He only eats vegetables, leaves. Okay, if I only eat vegan and I come to him and I got I'm eating a lot of those lechon, aksyon na lechon. So Mike, since he is vegan, he might not be comfortable me eating a lot of that chickens those pork in front of him. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to transfer table, not because I want to avoid him. I just don't want to offend him during the time that he is eating. That's what Paul said. And that's what he's saying. Be patient with each other. Don't always enforce yourself. A lot of people are opinionated. Look, I'm eating burger. Do you like to eat some? Look, I'm eating this. When I'm eating fish, you can hear me. To us, to some of us, that's the best way to eat fish. But to some people, they don't even want to see the eyes of the fish. I don't like them staring at me. So it is for the sake of the other person. I will go down a little bit and not enforce my own opinion. That's what Paul is saying. Para maganda yung samahan natin. And then let it go. If he eats like that, some people, they eat what? Very loud. You see? To some culture, you go to Japan, China, and Korea, the louder you sip the soup, the better, because it's compliment to the cook. Di ba, Jeff? Si Jeff,
Chef, yes, chef.
Si Francis. Sa Asian culture, the more noise, the more sound that you make when you are slurping the soup, the better, because the cook is thinking, see, he likes it very much. But to some people like my mom, hey, you're too loud. Kaya kahit na mainit, ayaw mo buhay bibig mo, ayaw mo mainit na mainit, napapasok mo na, sabi ng nanay ko, tayo daw eh. So, but for the sake, example po. For example, because of your love, let them be that love the other person, do not forgive. Instead, we will speak the truth. In love, the living love covers a multitude of sin. Then growing everywhere more and more like Christ, instead of study, the church is the sign of maturity. Like I said, it can never be always tell your opinion and then make your opinion, impose your opinion to other people. Like I always tell you an example, are you still there?
Amen.
I don't eat, even in our house, I don't eat without a shirt, without a t-shirt. That's me. It's not in the Bible. Okay? But to me, I wear a t-shirt before I eat or on the table because I'm respecting the table. Okay? But I cannot say that same thing to Mike or to Francis. You do the same thing. No, that's just my opinion. That is me. Okay? If they're comfortable eating without a shirt, then that's them. It does not make them sinful. It does not make them a second-class citizen because it's just me. So you cannot always impose your opinion. And then another thing, look at Hebrews. Look at what offense does. Kaya nga kailangan mag-ingat po tayo. Always consider us. Look at what it says in Hebrews 12:15. Look after each other. See, look after each other. So that no one of you fails to receive the grace of God. Watch out that no poisonous root of bitterness grows up to trouble you, corrupting many. One of the causes of offense is bitterness. People become bitter when they get offended. And when a person bottled up that bitterness inside, soon it will what? Soon it will root like a tree. It will spread its root underneath. And the thing about that is, when you see a tree, or when you see let's say roses, you only see the flowers that are beautiful, but you don't see underneath the ugly roots. See? You are just seeing the surface, but underneath those are ugly root. The ugly root says, you are heaping up bitterness, and a lot of people are very bitter. That's why they cannot maintain a good relationship, because they have bottled up, they have bitterness that they experienced from childhood. And they cannot let go. They cannot go. And sometimes, sabi ng iba, mamamatay na ako ng ganito, hindi ko pakatawarin yan, hindi ko na siya anak, hindi ko na pakatawarin. Can you imagine that? I just cannot forgive what they did to me. Oh yeah, Pastor, it's easy for you to say, to pray for them, to be good to them. But you are not on my shoes. You did not hear what they say. They started the quarrel, they said the fight, the rumor, and the gossip. It's not you. But then again, let it not go so deep until it brings forth. I will go back to that. This is the mustard seed, and this is the mulberry tree. This is they said that a mulberry tree. Because Jesus Christ mentioned, if you have a small faith like a mustard seed, you can tell to this huge, gigantic tree to be uprooted, and it will be uprooted. So what Jesus Christ is saying, this mulberry tree is so big. Most of the trees like this, whatever is the diameter, yung lagok, kung kanyang branches at saka yung kanyang mga dahon, ganyan kalaki. Ganyan din kalaki yung kanyang ugat. However big this is, the root is also that big. And this tree, they said that the root can be intact for 800 years. Can you imagine? This can be all dry now, but the root is still clinging on the ground, and it can stay there for 800 years. So what Jesus Christ is saying, if you got offended, sometimes you just harbored it so deep in your heart, so deep in your spirit, that it will take faith to have that uprooted. Kaya sabi ng Lord, give us faith so that we can overcome the hurt and the pain that was caused to us by other people. And a lot of people, they cannot really live a happy life because they're bitter. Nandun lang yung parang vulkan, it's just like a volcano. Okay, sometimes it's just dormant. But when an opportunity comes for all your anger to come out, it even sometimes at home. Okay, you have some issues at work, and you cannot burst out, you cannot vent out your anger at work because they're going to fire you. But when you go home, you vent all your anger and your frustrations to your wife, to your husband, and to your children. Oy, lumayo ka nga niya, buwisit ka. Wala namang ginagawa, narating mo lang. Hello? Why? Because you battled with it. That's why the disciple says, Lord, give us faith so that we can forgive others. And it takes a lot of grace to forgive others. It takes a lot. So if you know it, some people have hurt you. Sometimes it's your children, sometimes you hurt your children, your in-laws, or whoever it is. Learn to let go. What if they started the fight? Let go. Because remember this, the blessing of forgiveness does not go to the person who offended you. It comes to you. The blessing of forgiveness, it is for you. It heals you from a lot of sickness. It heals you from a lot of misery. It hurts you from a lot of heaviness. And it hurts you from having opportunities to be a happy person. Okay? What if they offended me and they don't even say sorry? Forgive them anyway. Forgive them anyway. You remember when Jesus Christ was on the cross?
Amen.
Father, forgive them. They do not know what they're doing. Jesus Christ can have just said, Lord, look, I didn't do anything. I'm your son. I didn't do anything. I didn't say anything that hurt people. All I did was to heal people, raise the dead, and to teach them things that will bring them to heaven. I didn't do anything. Even Pilate said, I'm innocent. Even the very people who were shouting, crucify him, they know I'm innocent. But when he was on the cross, you know what he said? Father, forgive them. They do not know what they're doing. So, when you forgive others, you're blessing yourself, not that person. And the irony of it all, if you cannot forgive, have you experienced it? The very person that you don't like, that you hate, most of the time you meet them in the store or in the party. You are invited in a party, and the person that you don't like is there also. And you are told, this is what we got, these are the food that we are going to eat, so you're excited, you're going to go and eat your good food. But when you see that person that you haven't forgiven, that hurt you, your appetite is gone. Hello? Even at the store, have you experienced in the store? You're going to go there and then you see the other person on the aisle that you're going to get your grocery. Ano ako na, iikot-ikot ka. Yung tagal niya ko. Hello? It's small world. And look at this. So learn to let go, people. Learn to let go. Learn to forgive. Learn to forgive that our Father who art in heaven. And He says, forgive us as we forgive those who sin against us. So the Father will only forgive us if we forgive others. If we don't forgive others, He will not forgive.
Amen.
You see
Thank
that?
you, Lord.
And when you are not forgiven, you're going to go to hell because you are still in your sin. That's how serious it is not to forgive. Look at this. I put this too. There are two kinds of forgiveness. One is decisional and the other one is emotional. Okay, decisional forgiveness is making the conscious decision. That's your choice. That's your decision, regardless of feelings. To not hold a grudge or punish someone for any offenses and to move on from the past. Move on from the past. And what happened is happened. God allowed it. It's bad. It's ugly.
Amen.
But since God allowed it, it's for you to learn something. So it says, I'm making the conscious decision regardless of feelings. I'm still hurt. Okay? Have you heard this many times? Okay, I forgive you, but I will never forget what you said. Can you believe that? I'm forgiving you, but I'm not forgetting what you did. So that's why you see, and that is not forgiveness. Forgiveness is like you owe a bank. Okay? And then they forgiving you and your balance is zero. Okay? That means there is nothing there, it is zero. That's how they forgive your debt. It's the same thing. No string attached. No string attached. When you let go, then they're emotional. And this is the hard part. Usually it takes longer. We are emotional beings. Some of us are very emotional beings. Okay, we hurt easily and then we nurse and we bandage our pain and our wound, our health. Emotional forgiveness usually takes us longer, but it is also a conscious decision to, over time, release negative and vengeful feelings and replace them with positive ones. So don't be vengeful. Vengeance is mine, says the Lord, and I will repay. So Jesus Christ says, offense will come, and then if your brother sin against you, forgive him. How many times? Every time he comes back to you, even though it's not serious that you forgive them anyway. So in this world, there are some, I call them funny people. They're gonna hurt you in a way that they say that only those people close to you can hurt you deeper than any other people. If I will say something to Pam will be hurt. Sometimes the way we say things, it can be innocent. Like if let's say Pam is my daughter, and I'm trying to wake her up. Pam, can you please wake up? It's already late. I can say it that way. Or I can say it in another way. The same thing, Pam, wake her up. It's already late. I can say, hey Pam, wake up! It's already late! You very lazy? See, the same words. I have just added very lazy. What I do is give offend her. You see, sometimes the same word, but it's the way you say it. That's why we be very careful with words, because once they get hurt, it's so hard to recover. And some people, Samuel Jackson, this is a black actor. He's a very good actor. He was hurt when he was a child. His father left them when he was just a child. And all throughout his life, okay, he cannot express himself. That's why I just want to be an actor. Because acting is just acting. It's not really me.
Amen.
I'm just portraying myself to be somebody else. But that is not the real Samuel Jackson. You know why? Because then he said that when I was growing up, my father used to abuse my mom and used to abuse us, his children, and then he walked away and left us when we were growing up. And all throughout his childhood, he was getting bullied. All he remembered that family is no good. It's just a place to hurt other people that you love. All throughout his life, even in his adult life, he says, I cannot be friendly to other people because I will go back to when I was hurt, when I was a child. And you believe that when you look at them, they are what? Famous, they are rich, they are people that you make as your role model. But then these people are hurting. And they are hurting people because why? Hurt people will hurt other people.
Amen.
Kapag nasaktan ka, gusto mo rin manakit. So if you are hurt, you don't want what? An eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth. I want to get even. And that's why God said, kill it. The moment that you feel it, learn to forgive and then walk away. Then just walk away and live your life. So, are you there?
Amen. Amen.
Because you know, once you forgive people, you feel better of yourself. And then you are praising God, who is name and who was forgiving us a lot of things. And then my last, I'm already 1 minute over. Look at what it says now. I'm showing this. The service. He said, I'm just going to go back. Look at this. When a servant comes in from plowing or taking care of a sheep, does his master say, come in and eat with me? No, he says, prepare my meal, put on your apron, and serve me while I eat. Then you can eat later. And does the master thank the servant for doing what he was told to do? Of course not. So likewise you, when you have done all those things which are commanded, say we are unprofitable servants, we have done what was our duty to do. You know, during those times, and during where people are, where there is a slavery, slaves are not allowed to join meal with their master. They're not allowed. They can serve, but they cannot eat in the same table. Okay? They have to wait. And then another thing, it is not rude. Okay, can you imagine that? Why can't he just thank the slave for serving him? There is no gratitude. But Jesus Christ is not after the living of death. What he is after, if you are a servant, this is your duty. Okay? If you did everything that you have done because you are a slave, you are a servant, whether you are appreciated or not, you have just done what you have done for the Lord. And you don't expect, if you are a slave, you don't expect to receive gratitude. It is just your duty. That's why the unprofitable, when it says unprofitable, it does not mean that they are not important to God. It just means that I am just a slave. I do not know, I never owe God anything. Or God does not owe me anything. In Tagalog, walang utang na loob sa atin ng Diyos.
Amen. Amen.
God does not owe us anything. See, Lord, I came in early in church. See, Lord, I brought some food. See, Lord, I'm wearing my Prada, and I'm wearing my Gucci, and I'm wearing my Juicy Couture. Brad, do you expect me to throw the trash? Magagas ka sa naman ng aking mga manicure. Bago na punta doon. What I'm saying? When we are serving it, sometimes you will not be noticed. Sometimes I cannot even thank you all. I know some people, they are so dressed nice, but then I can see them putting the trash bag in their bag. There was one time here. She's a short girl, a short lady. She said, Kuya Ed, she told me, Kuya Ed, would you mind if I throw the trash? I said, no, don't. I said, don't. Tell your husband, because the husband was here. So tell your husband to do it. It's back there. And I saw she didn't listen to me. She doesn't want to come to her husband. I saw her. And she took it and bundled it and she put it on her bag. And I saw her walking out and she threw it in the downstairs. I said, oh my goodness. I wish I can do that, but I'm handicapped. I'm disabled. I'm limited. I cannot do that. If you see me doing that, you can see me on my face crawling. But what I'm saying is, in reality, when we do anything for God, you don't expect some people. It is good. They call appreciation, or what we call we appreciate people doing us good. It is good. Don't forget that. If somebody do you a favor, don't forget to appreciate it, to say thank you. Okay, it's a very good attitude. But if you are serving God, if you are serving Christ, whatever you're doing, no matter if you receive appreciation or somebody thank you or not, you are doing it for God, whatever you do, for the Lord. Whether you eat or drink, whatever you do it happily and excitedly for the Lord and not unto men. I'm doing this not for Pastor Eddie. I'm doing this for the Lord. Para hindi ka na masaktan. So, because there are some people not intentionally, they will not even tell you, oh, thank you for doing that. Oh, thank you for bringing that. Oh, thank you for helping out. Oh, thank you for staying a little bit late for helping us. Some people will not do that. But as a servant of the Lord, he says, Lord, we are just servants. We are just slaves. We do not owe you anything. You don't owe us anything so that you will repay us. No, we don't. God does not owe us anything. In fact, we owe everything to God. In fact, whatever we do in this life, we cannot really recompense or equal what God has done in our lives. God has done too much and much more in our lives that we don't deserve. We don't deserve. A lot of things we don't deserve. We don't deserve to be saved. We don't deserve to be forgiven. We don't deserve to be protected from this Omicron. We don't deserve it. But God in His goodness is doing it. You never know. You've been exposed. You've been talking to a lot of people who are carriers. But for some reason, God is so good, you were not infected. And that is not goodness. That's because you're so strong, you're so wise, you are a nurse and you know what to do. No, it's because God is good to you. God does not owe you anything. So what he's saying, Lord, if I will serve you in any capacity that you have given me, it can be anything. It can be anything. It can be anything. Lord, I've just done what I have to do as your slave. And that's how we should serve God. Okay? And can you imagine the last? I will last. Do you know when Jesus Christ was trying to illustrate this to his disciples? The Last Supper, Jesus Christ washed their feet. The washing of the disciples' feet. Okay? You know, if there are 3 slaves in the house, the lowest slave that washes the feet of the people coming in, the guests, is the lowest slave. Because slaves, they also have their supervisor. Let's say, Jeff, me, and Kuya Jim, we are slaves, okay? If I am the supervisor slave, if Kuya Jim he's my middleman, and if Kuya Jim is the lowest, you coming in here, he will be the one, the lowest slave will be the one to wash your feet. And Jesus Christ did that. Jesus Christ did that. That's why Peter said, no, Lord, you're not going to wash my feet. Only slaves do what you're doing. And you know, the washing of the disciples' feet, you know their feet? They wear what? Leather sandals. And they walk through dirt roads from Jericho, Galilee, Jerusalem. They just walk, they don't ride. Can you smell? They sweat on that leather sandals. Their feet stinks. Ang bantot, hindi ba lang si Peter, maraming alipunga. Hello? Ang babantot ng paa na ito, pati si James, si John. Yung mga amoy ang mga paa na, kung hindi pa sila that's Tagalog, it's Hebrew. What I'm saying is, their feet stinks. I can bet that most of them, it stinks because they've been walking in the sun, they're sweating, they're wearing leather sandals, and they're about to eat. The table is almost ready, and it's already set. And Jesus Christ said, I'm going to wash your feet in a basin of water. And some of them will not, no. If we just do this after lunch or after dinner, because it's so dirty, they stink. It will ruin my appetite. But not the Lord. I'm showing you something. That is an example. If you want to be great, you have to be a servant of all. It's not like the world who wants to be the bossing. The bossing is the one what? Being served. But not in the kingdom of God. If you want to be great, you serve the lowest of my disciples. So you po sabi niya, I've only done what was our duty to do. First, learn to forgive. Amen? And then come to God. I cannot forgive, Lord. Help me to forgive. Help me to forgive. And God will answer that prayer. Because forgive us our trespasses as we forgive those who trespass against us. And then, let's serve God in any capacity that we can for His kingdom. Amen? So thank you, guys. Thank you so much, our friends, and we will pray. Lord, we thank you so much, God, for your words. And God, we ask for forgiveness, Lord. that many times, God, we harbor offense, we harbor, Lord, bitterness and resentment because some people have said painful words to us, they hurt our feelings, they hurt us, God. We pray, God, that you forgive us as you have forgiven us. And help us, God, to learn that forgiveness is something that you are pleased with. Help us, oh God, to learn how to let go of offense and how to forgive, no matter what and how much they have done against us. Cause us not to be the source of offensive attitude, offensive words, and offensive actions. God, help us, God, to be an example of your love, an example of your gentleness to other people, especially those in the family of God. And God, we pray that as long as we are living, God, we will serve you, God, coming from our hearts. And that we will rejoice, God, for giving us the privilege to serve you because you are a kind and you are a good master. God, we thank you for your words. We thank you, God, for all our friends that are watching us online. May you keep them safe, keep them healthy. And those of them who are sick, we pray healing in the name